right, we're recording now. I'll edit this part out. Or cool. All right, 3, 2, 1. Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kai. I'm here with my best friend Harry, and we'll be talking about how chess shaped us, how we learned growing up playing chess, our time spent together as chessmates. We've played chess since middle school. Yeah, let's get into it. Welcome to the channel, Harry.
Yo, I'm happy to be here. Can't wait to get into it.
Louder. Yeah. But anyways, we'll get into it. Cool. So this is the video roadmap. We'll be going through our introductions. We'll also be then going to the current chess scene, talking about our thoughts on Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru, all that different stuff. And then after that, we'll be going to Harry's experience with teaching chess and how he mentors other younger chess players. And then we'll talk about the tournament directing life, just TDing in various places across the country, our favorite players. And then we'll then go into the openings and style that we like to play in. I like to go for very tactical openings, but also sometimes we play very positional chess. We'll then talk about the nuances and the differences between online chess, like leadchess.org, as well as playing over the board. And then we'll be talking about how chess impacts us psychologically, how that affects our thinking, problem solving, how we approach life. I think that's a very good thing to talk about. And then we'll be going to chess, AI, in the future, and then our final thoughts and a lightning round of questions. Does that sound good?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So, introductions. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So,
What's your name?
My name is Harrison Sanford. I think I'm 21 now. Yeah. So I got into chess when I was 4. I went to a private school and I was in pre-kindergarten. And my parents have always reinforced this idea of you have to do at least 2 extracurriculars at one time. And at that time, my first extracurricular that I did was chess, and I did chess for pre-K, kindergarten, first grade, swapped schools, dropped it for a bit, picked it back up in 4th grade. And then when I switched schools again, I got really serious, played it like all the time, practiced all the time, played states, played nationals, and now here I am. I think my earliest memory of playing was still in pre-K. One of my best friends and I joined at the same time, and I remember beating him. I don't think he ever got any good. Like, we both were around like a solid elo of like maybe 300. And that all stemmed from my time with my first coach, Mr. C. Then after that, I had another coach when I switched schools. Again, that was also Mr. C. When I switched schools the 3rd time, then I had a different coach there, and he was there for middle and then high school.
Gotcha. And I'll introduce myself as well. My name is Kai. I'm a student here at Penn. How I got into chess, my dad taught me when I was like 6 years old. And I only started playing it more seriously in 6th grade when I joined Masterman Middle School, which is the school that I went to in middle school.
Yeah.
and I joined the chess club, got really into it, played more chess. And yeah, I think it had a really big impact on me growing up. My earliest memory of playing would be, I guess, my dad and I, we would like play a chess game, and I would lose, right?
Of course you.
And then what we would do is we would backtrack like 3 moves back, and my dad would swap the board and say like, okay, here, now you play the other side. Then we just continue on, and I would lose like 5 times in a row, but it was really fun. Who taught me? We had a chess coach in middle school and high school. He taught us. It was super cool. Really good chess coach. Really thankful for all that teaching. And I think one of my biggest inspirations would be, I don't know, I feel like I have a lot of favorite chess players, but...
Yeah. I didn't really have one. When I was a kid, I didn't like chess at all that much. Like, I think until like maybe 7th grade, I didn't like doing chess. I mostly just played it because my parents made me. And then like young child incentive was like, oh, I can make money off of this. So I started like playing chess for like winning winnings. And then I hit like 9th grade, and then I like actually started having passion because it was something I was like legitimately good at a time in my life where there weren't that many things like accolades I had to be proud of. Like, people were good at other things like running and tennis, and all that stuff got like way more like traction in terms of being able to like parade it off to people, versus chess is something you can only show in a specific aspect in a specific scenario. Like, you can't parade chess at a talent show or anything like that. Yeah. So I always kind of felt like a little bit inferior. But then I was like, I could based around like all of the people around me are nowhere near as good as I am, and even though it's not something that's like easily shown, it's still something that I'm good at, and because of that, I can make this work in a way where I can be different than everyone else.
Gotcha. And then who taught you chess?
My coach. My dad actually did not know about chess before me. I taught my dad almost everything he knows. I'd say he's probably a solid like 700 player right now.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah. My coach, my elementary school coach, he taught me kindergarten, pre-K, and first grade. Then my soft schools, he taught me in fourth grade again. And he was like the early starter. He taught me all of the basics, tactics, my first opening, a lot of my end games, all of the beginning stuff you get before you're classified as like maybe intermediate. Then I think the last year I had him, I skyrocketed, got really, really good out of nowhere. Like I just had an epiphany. And then when I transferred to my other school, my new coach like used all of the talent that I had, and I just started like fully showing, and then cultivated that into like something really, really good, which is what I started being in like late middle school.
And what's your rating right now?
I think USCF, I'm around 1850. I peaked at 2000, but then I think that was 2050. But over time, I started to decay because I didn't play that much over the board because coronavirus hit, and I lost a lot of wanting to play on over the board after we came back from all of that. And when I came back, like competition was a lot harder. I didn't play the same way. My style of playing had changed, and I hadn't fully grown into what I'd become. So I lost a lot of games coming out early.
Yeah.
Got really fast. But it's been like a slowish climb back up. We're getting there. I think I'm almost 1900 again. I think I have to get back to 2000 because I have some other things I have to qualify for. Because there's some tournaments. Some people have asked me to play in where I have to be at least 2000 to play.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we'll get there again.
Yeah, you got it. I think for me, my peak rating is like, I didn't touch it, but I think I was close to 1900 USCF.
Yeah. I think you were 1880 or something.
I think I was 1860. It definitely said 1860 at some point.
Maybe.
But I would just say 1900. And then my current bullet rating, I think 3 months ago, like some months ago, it was rated 2260 on leechess.org.
Around there still.
Yeah. And right now it's like 2100 maybe. So it dropped down. But yeah, those are our introductions. Next slide. Do you want to ask me these questions?
Yeah, what do you think? Because you actually know more about this than I do, because I really don't keep up that much with modern chess, but what do you think of the modern chess landscape?
The modern chess landscape, I honestly don't know what it is. All I know is that Magnus Carlsen is not number one in the world.
He still is.
But he like gave up the world champion title.
Yeah, it's actually an interesting story.
Yeah. And now like other Dingley, and it's not Dingley Ren, but it's like the Indian dude is.
Oh my god, I forgot his name.
Number one. He's a really young guy, and like I think his dad gave up being a doctor, and like went with him to all the chess tournaments for like 10 years, training him and everything.
Well, if you think your kid can do it, like go for it. That's kind of like crazy drop though. Like I don't know.
It's a lot.
Yeah, gotta have the respect though.
Would you ever do that if you were like a parent of like a chess prodigy? Would you ever commit 10 years, like just give up, honestly, a pretty high paying, stable job for your kid's chess? What would you do?
It's kind of nuanced. Like, well, I don't know if like you wanted to be a doctor, but if I had a job I actually wanted to be, and I was getting paid a lot for it, I'd probably try and do both at the same time as much as I could without having to like give up one of them, you know? And then like once I reached that ultimatum where I didn't have a choice but to pick one, I would really have to like reevaluate what my current lifestyle is, based around whether or not I can sustain this like for the family. Because if I really don't feel that I would be able to like keep the sustainability for the entire family and like keep us afloat if I quit, then I probably wouldn't quit. But if I had that feeling in my calling that there was something I could do to make sure that he had the best possible scenario for his life, I'd probably try it, you know?
So it's like only if by giving up the job will you be financially afloat, even if it's like the bare minimum, you would go for it.
Yeah. Or if like there was like, how do I put it? If I had this belief that in this scenario he had, well, whatever the child's gender was, would have a severely high chance or look to be really really good at what they were doing, you know, like if I knew for a fact that in training that person they'd end up being at least like 25, 2600, yeah, sure, because like that's pretty dang good, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Like I feel if you hit 2600, that's that's an achievement that is worth your whole lifetime getting. Because there are some people, there's actually most people in the world I would say could practice their whole life and never hit 2600. So if I could get my kid there just by devoting all of my time and effort to give him some accolade that he'd say,
There he really wants.
I'm one of the best in the world, I'd go for it.
Would you sacrifice everything right now to achieve 2600?
No, no, I wouldn't. It's more like I have, at this point in my life, I have other obligations outside of chess. So chess isn't as big a goal for me. I'd still try to it naturally, and I'd reach my peak. Like I'd still go as far as I could with it, but I would never do anything more to the point of like negatively impacting my life in an attempt to get further at chess.
I mean, you have to sacrifice a lot to achieve greatness in,
Well,
in any discipline. There's always some sacrifice, like time spent with family or money, financial, or like.
well, yeah, but I'd rather do those sacrifices towards something else other than chess. Like I have other passions now.
Gotcha. And then I'll ask you this question. Oh wait, no, wait. What? Okay, I think we answered the modern chess landscape well. Are we in a chess boom right now?
No,
Really?
I really wouldn't say so.
Why? That's interesting. I didn't expect that.
I think that from what I've seen, I don't know that much, but from what I've seen, most of chess nowadays, in terms of like public engagement and advertisement, is Hikaru, Gotham Chess, and like maybe some random YouTubers.
Chess Network sort of fell off.
Yeah. Well, the reason why there was a chess boom was because coronavirus hit and everyone was indoors, and there's not much you
Twitch
can
streaming.
do indoors but Twitch stream, play chess, play board games, all things you can do that's not physical activity or going outside. So chess skyrocketed. There were a lot of chess streamers. I think we might have hit 200K viewers on Twitch at one point, probably.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Like that was a boom for all sorts of things you could do inside. And now that we're not all the time inside anymore, it's not fallen all the way off, but it's definitely not as high as it was before. And I think it's slowly on the decline.
I disagree with the decline. I think coronavirus was the catalyst, and it led to that big jump, and then I guess it declined a lot from there. But I would say it's on the steady incline. I mean, just because like I don't know. I feel like once someone plays chess or gets into it, let's say you play a lot of chess like during COVID, it's not like you're gonna fully abandon it for the next 50 years of your life. I think you'll probably revisit it like at least once a year.
That's
And I
yeah.
think, and I think just like I don't know, like even if you're not active, you'll still contribute to like a growing, more active like scene. Like
Not really. Like if you don't participate in something, then can you really call yourself part of it?
yeah, but I think if you play like one chess game online, like you're improving the experience of someone else who plays chess as well, and like
Maybe.
just the networking effect of I play chess, you play chess, and then boom, just more and more chess and more interactions. I think that's here to stay. Just like the culture, you know.
That's fair.
So I think for like just like the networking effect, it's like hard for things to die down unless like people like seriously dislike it and like there's like a big scandal. But chess has not changed for like the past, I don't know, thousands of years or hundreds of years.
Right.
And I think like I don't know, it's definitely gotten more and more popular. All right, I'll ask you this now. So teaching chess and mentorship, have you ever taught chess to anyone else, and what was that like?
Okay. So I'm 21. I think so. I've taught chess multiple times. I taught chess since I was like 13. Those weren't like official those weren't official scenarios. Like I wasn't getting paid to do it, and it wasn't like I had a lesson plan going in, something like that. It was more of spur of the moment. Someone asked me, "Hey, can you teach me chess?" Or I might have taught chess to my cousin at one point, my little cousins, something like that, my dad, my mom. But I have taught chess, and I still do teach chess for like the past 2 or 3 years in school settings and also in program settings outside of schools. So I coach one school right now. It's the old middle school and high school we went to.
Master Mint.
I visit other schools to give lessons. I went to a school down in South Philly a few months ago. I've been to some other schools in West Philly, Northeast Philly, North Philly as well. And I believe I'm set for a few more programs this year where I'll go and teach some other schools. Or whoever wants to show up to my practices. And it's an experience. So it really shows, because I some programs are for high schoolers, some programs are for middle schoolers, some programs are for teachers. It really shows how deep people's passions are, just like as a whole. Whenever it's like teaching. Whenever you look at someone's face, you can kind of gauge their concentration or how much they care for something based off of like what they look like and how much attention they're paying. And for the most part, everyone between the age of, I'd say, 9th grade and 6th grade, they do not care.
Why? Why do middle schoolers not care about chess?
They have other things they care more about.
Like what?
It could be a video game. It could be romantic relationships. It could be something else they want to do. It could be the new scandal that happened in class. I know when I was teaching some of my kids, like maybe a few months ago, there was some altercation and everyone was talking about how this one kid did this one thing and he got in trouble and almost got suspended, and they could not focus and they never were going to be able to focus. And it's not always true, obviously, but for the most part, they just do not have the attention span. Now, you'd think that the elementary schoolers would also not have the attention span, but it's kind of like the opposite. They're so interested and curious in learning how to play the game, even if they don't play it right, that maybe it's because they want to one-up someone or something like that, but they pay a lot more attention than the middle schoolers do. And the high schoolers there's two types. There's the type of high schooler that cares and the type of high schooler that's just doing it because they feel like it. And the high schooler that cares focuses a lot more than the high schooler that's just doing it for, let's say, they want to say, I went to nationals so I can put on a college resume. Or they might say that I did XYZ sports and then add chess in the end of that, so let's go to LinkedIn or something. But like, there's those people, then there's the kids that actually focus up. And I feel like because of the school we went to, that first category where they're more focused on the achievement is a lot more prevalent than the people who actually want to learn. Because like
so for resume,
yeah, I have a guy. I have actually two guys. One guy was doing
that sucks.
Yeah, one guy was doing chess. I think he was doing baseball, basketball, and lacrosse at the same time, which is legitimately crazy work. I have one person who's running her own chess club, Girl Scouts, plays the flute, I think. She's like student council president? There's a lot of things she does in combination with chess. So like, I can say without a doubt that chess is not one of her priorities. Then I also have a guy who plays chess and does business and does comp sci, but he's like fully invested in chess and he goes to tournaments and he practices. And like, I find that really cool because even though he's doing all those other things and he focused on all those other things, he also has chess and he keeps chess in his back pocket and he locks in on it. So like, there's two different varieties. But I think the most rewarding part of it, which is the second question, is that I see this mostly when I teach the middle schoolers and sometimes when I teach the elementary schoolers, which I don't have that many of, is that sometimes I'll tell them what to do and they won't listen. They'll come back and they'll say, I lost or I drew, and I'll tell them, I told you this last time, you're supposed to do this by this. And then that time it'll really stick. Next time they'll go back and they'll actually either apply it and win or apply it and not do as bad. And if they, either way, when they come back, I'll say, look, you did what I told you to, and regardless, it looks better. And as long as it looks better, I don't care. Like, they can lose every single game they play, but as long as they're actively trying or at least putting in the effort and showing that they're paying attention and trying to get better, I'm chill with it.
So like, I think for me, I very much agree with you with the rewarding part. Just the I'm gonna try not to say ums. or likes. Just the constant reiteration and reapplication of chess theory and the skills that you learned per chess game, seeing that improvement day in, day out, a little bit by little bit, is so rewarding to see in your friend, in someone that you're mentoring, and in yourself.
Yeah, it's just when you see it, it is the worst feeling in the world to watch someone make a mistake, realize they made that mistake, and then go and make that mistake again.
Yeah.
Because you know they know better, and they just either do not want to think about it, or they didn't want to put in the effort to figure out how to fix it. So they just went in and did the same problem again. It's like bashing your head into a wall. You're not gaining anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, have I ever taught chess? Not really. What's that like? I mean,
It's just like normal teaching, honestly.
yeah, I would say it's like, I'm gonna stop saying like. It's like tutoring, where you have a certain structure of lessons that you want to teach. So there could be positional chess, tactics, how the pieces move, opening theory,
Yeah.
specific openings, and you often have to gauge your students' chess ability, chess skill level, before you can choose what to teach.
Yeah, and a lot of it is reactionary. Like sometimes I'll go in with an idea and something to teach, and then my student will ask me, "Hey, I lost this way," and then the entire 1 hour 30 minutes will shift from me trying to teach how to do a certain endgame to me trying to teach how to adapt to a certain position that you find yourself in.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing, because I feel that if it came up there, then it'll come up again. And even if I hadn't get to that ending, I can get to that at some point. But there's one thing that's urgent, and if we can get to that urgent thing, then anything else can just wait. Because it's better to get it when it's fresh.
Yeah, yeah. I completely agree with you. If a student says, hey, I want to go over this game, and I guess you're teaching opening theory because they might mess up the opening, but it goes, let's say, into a Greek sacrifice, some more advanced abstract tactic problem, then I think it's a good opportunity to pop in, okay, what is this tactic teaching us?
Right.
Maybe what is this pawn structure teaching us?
That's the difficult one to teach. But yeah.
Yeah. I would say if you had a very new student and you want to give them let's say, a progression of what chess topics to teach, what would that progression look like? For me, it would look like, obviously, how to move your pieces.
Okay. That's a good question.
I would then say a little bit of positional chess theory, why the center is good, why you want to put pieces towards the center. And once you establish some theory as to how the board is and what are the best spots on the board, then you go into opening theory and you say, okay, with all these openings, what do they have in common? It's because we put pieces towards the center of the board and that it gets to the opponent's side of the board afterwards. What are your thoughts on this, and what would you add to this progression?
This is my first coach in kindergarten. He taught me this, and I've used this like at least like 10 times. What we always start with is the board. Before you do anything, no pieces on the board. Look at the board itself. The board has dark square, light square. The board is 8 by 8.
Mm-hmm.
The board has 64 squares on it because 8 times 8 equals 64, right? Then look at the files. The files of the letters. The letter columns that go up and down. Look at those. The ranks, the number rows that go left and right. Right? So once you establish that, then we establish what the squares are. We do this to start with because that helps you learn notation. Notation is one of the most important things to learn because notation helps you develop yourself.
What is chess notation? Can you explain that to the viewer?
It's how we write down the moves we make in the games we play. It's how everything gets scribed. So whenever I make a move, I have to name the piece that I'm moving with its initial, except for the knight and the king that get pushed around. And I have to name the square. That's why we go over squares first, because once we know what the squares are, we can identify any spot on the board simply by its square instead of saying, oh, it's one place up here, right there, up there, left there. You can just say this square right here. And that helps make things a lot simpler for anyone trying to analyze anything.
Okay.
Right? So once we have the squares down, files, ranks. Then we bring in the pieces. We start with the simpler ones like the rook, the bishop, the knight. Then we go into the queen, the king, and the pawn. Then after that, we teach how to set the board up. After we've taught how to set the board up, now we've taught what all the pieces move like, all the squares on the board, where the pieces go. At that point, they can play a game.
Okay.
Except for the check rule, because we have to teach check. You have to teach checkmate as well. And you rarely, sometimes I teach stalemate, sometimes I don't.
Do you ever teach en passant, or
No,
is that
never that early.
Yeah, I think it's too confusing.
It doesn't come up enough for it to be something that needs to be taught that early.
Yeah.
So, at that point, once they learn all those things, I'll let them play out a few games. They're definitely not going to checkmate each other. They'll just take a bunch of pieces. But the fact is, they'll get used to that. Like, they'll get used to the act of moving and understanding how things work. And the kinesthetic learning is very, very real when it comes to chess.
What is kinesthetic?
It's the action of it's learning through action.
Okay.
So
like trial by error, like
yeah, it's
okay.
just the act of doing the physical movement itself helps ingrain it into your mind.
Yeah, I agree.
So once you get a few games in, then you start adding on the extra layers. Maybe I'll teach them the opening. Usually it's the 4 knights because the 4 knights is extremely simple. After the 4 knights, then we might get into some other openings. Scotch is good. The Sicilian is too complex.
I think it's too much. Sicilian
is way too complex.
I think the best openings to teach are the symmetrical openings. Symmetrical pawn structure, at least.
Yeah, like 4 knights does that. You can kind of do that with the English, because the English has like a default set of moves you can always play and come out fine with. The English is the first move is c4, the pawn is c4. But that, along with certain versions of Sicilian, you can play the same like 8 moves in a row and almost always obtain the same position, which is fine. That's what you do when you have a kid who has a tournament in like 3 days and you need them to be relatively prepared for it. That happens rarely, but it does in fact happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, squares, the board itself, pieces, how they move, how they get placed on the board when we start, check, checkmate. Those are all the basics. Then we get into the serious parts. It's almost always endgames first, because it doesn't matter.
Wait, so after basic opening theory, you go into endgames?
I'd say after I teach them like one opening, usually the 4 knights, I go directly into endgames. Because it doesn't matter if you take every piece on the board if you don't know how to checkmate them with the pieces.
And when you say endgame, you mean just ending the game, not necessarily king and pawn endgames.
Yeah, I'm talking king and rook, king and 2 rooks,
okay.
king and queen. Anything that you can use.
I thought you meant king and pawn.
No,
I was about to say
no.
That's a crazy jump right there.
No.
Okay.
I've had some of those schools for like maybe a year or 2 years, and I haven't gotten that far yet.
Imagine teaching Dvoretsky's endgame manual day 1. They're cooked.
No, it'd be so bad.
I'm quitting chess right after that.
I got high schoolers who can't do that.
I don't know if I can do Dvoretsky's endgame manual.
It's not that hard. You just need time,
which
is also an important part of chess.
So after basic endgame theory, I'll take it from here. So after basic endgame theory, I think then we go into more tactical sort of problems, like Legal's mate, Greek sacrifices.
You skip the tactics themselves.
Okay, yeah.
I was given 2 books.
Pins, skewers, double check.
The order I learned was pin, back rank mates, forks. Then I was taught double attacks, forks at like the same time. Double check. Then I was taught skewers. Then zugzwang, removal of the guard.
Yes, removal of the guard.
And I think there was like another one, but I forget. Might have been triangulation.
That's more endgame.
That is more endgame. I forget.
Yeah. So once you learn all that, and then now you apply that in, let's say, Legal's mate, Greek sacrifices.
And the best way to like learn all of that stuff, once you know the tactics, is just to play games. Because as you play those games and you see those patterns, those get ingrained in you. And when they get ingrained in you, then you start seeing it more naturally.
I agree. And also, you can also learn it through examining other people's games from 200 years ago, stuff like that. You can also examine it through a lot of openings have like gambits or different attacks, and it's very decisive in a way. But if you know the moves, you end up always doing better out of it. So that could be a good approach to learning. Yeah. And then after the basic, I guess, after the basic tactic theory, I think you then go into positional chess.
You probably wouldn't get to that for like at least a year though. Like it depends on how many times you meet.
Yeah. But positional chess is characterized by the pawn structure, micromanaging of pieces, slightly improving your control of squares.
It's all about space.
Also, setting up your pawns in a way that benefits you later in the endgame. So there's pawn islands.
That is hard though.
Double isolated pawns. Just having more breathing room in your position. Structuring your pawns in a way that complements your bishop colors.
Yeah.
And then using your pawns to occupy space in your opponent's camp.
That's like mad difficult though. Like
yeah, so I'd say that comes a bit later or a lot later.
a lot later.
Is there anything after that? Would you say other than endgame, positional chess, and then you go into hardcore king and pawn endgame? Is there anything that is even like to the next level?
Probably just like normal openings or like the side opening stuff, and just like
I think after that would be more meta stuff like
yeah.
how to practice good chess habits, how to use the computer, how to use ChessBase, which chess program should you use, how to exercise, how to play in tournament chess and not get tired.
All of that. Oh, well, not get tired, yeah.
Like how do you prepare yourself mentally and physically for a chess game? Dieting.
Wait, what? I've never dieted for a chess match, I'm not gonna lie.
Like you need, because over the board chess games can last up to 6 hours.
Yeah.
You need at least some level of stamina for it.
You just eat food. You can eat food mid game too.
Yeah, I think it's because we're very young. When we played chess, it didn't really matter. But imagine you're a 50-year-old. You need a diet. You need some sort of regime outside of chess to be competitive at chess. You know.
Usually they just pull up with some food and they just eat it mid game.
Yeah, but if you want to continue playing at like a level of 2,000 and above, something like that, unless you're cracked already,
I guess
you need some level of
I know, like,
good sleep, good chess study habits.
Yeah, no. I feel like if you don't get good sleep, period, regardless of how good you are, you're gonna suffer.
Yeah. Okay. I think we completely exhausted this slide. So tournament directing life. I've never been a tournament director. Harry has been. So I wanted to hear about how you got into tournament directing. What is the role of a tournament director? What's the fulfilling part? What are some misconceptions that people have about it? And maybe your thoughts on the TD life.
Okay. So I think the better way to start with is what a tournament director is designed to do. So ideally in a normal chess scenario, in a normal chess setting, the tournament director is supposed to have zero impact. Two people are supposed to get to their board, play their game, have no problems, get their result, record the result, and leave. Now, depending on the variation of tournament you're playing, there are two ways that a tournament director could be forced to intervene. Option one is if there is direct case of cheating the tournament director witnesses. If we're in version 1, tournament directors can just say nothing. Let it happen.
Cheating?
Yeah. Okay. Cheating on the board. If it's like phone or something like incredibly blatant, if it's a move on the board that gets made that is legal, if nobody notices it, I'll let it slide. If someone has their phone out looking at the next move, no.
So you would let illegal moves slide?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's option 1. That's the other option is option 2, where any type of infraction I notice period gets automatically addressed. That if there was a legal move, I would intervene in that. That version I've never actually been a part of. So what I usually work in is a scenario where I do not intervene in anything until I get called over, or there's an infraction that is incredibly illegal and has nothing to do with the board.
Like someone running around the tournament hall and making loud noises.
Yes, running around the tournament hall, using their phones, like just direct version of cheating that anyone can witness. Talking to someone else they shouldn't be talking to because the game is between you and your opponent, that type of thing. And outside people coming in the room that aren't supposed to be there. So I started being a TD because when I graduated, the city program that runs our chess leagues, chess championships, and locally involved in the chess tournaments,
Isn't that ASAP
Yeah.
chess?
They needed tournament directors because the ones they had were either getting too old, or leaving, going to other places, or didn't want to do it anymore. So when I signed up, it was me, one other guy, and it was literally just us two. And I had to get my tournament certification, which means that I am still also legally qualified to run a tournament of up to, I think, 150 people, which I have done before. What that means is I have to tabulate all the people who sign in for the tournament, pair them with their respective opponents, and go through the award ceremony, all that stuff. I've done all that stuff before. It's hard because there's always some type of problem. There has never been a tournament where there has been zero problems. That can either be due to someone not getting how a tournament works, which happens way more often than you would think, someone coming in late and then not being registered, or not showing up and then having to be taken out, someone coming in the second round and then having to be put back in. There's at least 8 different versions of how that could have gone, but there's always some type of issue, and the job also involves solving that issue, which usually involves running around the building because I'm looking for someone didn't report their result. I have to go find them because I can't start the next round. Depending on how serious the tournament is, if there is an issue and I can't get it immediately solved, whoever is involved with it will usually just have that problem suffer because it is what it is, and I can't deal with it when I have 149 other people to think about. Most of the issues that come up when I'm not being that type of tournament director is when I'm an ATD or assistant tournament director. Some people call it a floor TD, which is where you just wander the floor and answer any incoming questions. That person usually has the most strenuous job, as they have to be continuously walking. We very rarely get breaks, maybe like once every game. So you could be standing up walking for approximately an hour and a half, maybe 3 hours straight, depending on when your break is.
And you're walking in the tournament hall.
Yes. We have to keep parents and coaches out when we don't want them in there, which is pretty much 24/7. We have to make sure people who leave after the game is done don't come back. We have to make sure there's nobody talking to their friend. There shouldn't be any talking at all. We have to make sure there's no cheating. It's a little stressful, but it's not the worst, because most people who play these tournaments understand what's expected of them, and after the first time they're there, they usually don't infringe on the rules again.
So it's like being a lifeguard at a pool.
Yes.
You're sort of surveying, keeping things sort of in check, but only when someone calls you to action, like raises their hand.
Yeah.
Those
are for board discrepancies almost always. Yeah. But if it's for discrepancies not related to the board, we're always on call and we're always looking alert. If there's a hand raised, we go there immediately, and there's usually an issue, which is this person touched a piece and didn't move it. This person castled with their rook instead of their king first, which means they have to move their rook first. Yes, that's an actual rule.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's always usually almost every single scenario I've had, there's been a minor infraction where some kid didn't know the rules, and it just has to let it slide.
I have a question. So when people are organizing the rounds and the pairings, what software is used for that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I guess before we get to his answer, just how tournaments are usually conducted is through the Swiss system.
Yes.
Which basically means if you have about, let's say 100 players, you would have 50 play white, 50 play black, and if there's an odd amount of players, the one with the lowest elo or just performance gets a bye. And a bye round is where you get half a point?
Full point.
Oh, you get a full point, but you also don't get to play the game, right? And then for the rest of the players, you get paired up. At first, if everyone is of equal standings, of equal scores, it will then be like the top rated person plays the top rated person of the second
half.
Of the bottom half.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you have this amount of players, then the top half will play against the bottom half, like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the Swiss system. And I was wondering
We
what
almost
software is used. Is it
always use a Swiss system. There are very few cases where there are less rounds and they use the accelerated Swiss system.
what is accelerated Swiss?
I think it's called that, but it's basically where instead of running it where you play top half goes versus the top half, they will sometimes just instantly put people with the highest rating against each other.
Immediately, one plays two.
Yeah, I think that's how it
Do they
works.
ever switch up later down the line?
I don't remember, but like
You would have to switch to a Swiss system later on just to make sure that the top person beats that high performing low person.
it's no, because eventually they're going to meet anyway if they get the same number of points because the numbers are going to dwindle.
Yeah.
Like it'll get there eventually, based off how many. It's all based off how many rounds you have, I think. But the system we use is actually just called Swiss Sys, which is short for Swiss system. You can also use it for quads, which is a scenario where 4 players all play each other, and we can also use it for a few other types of games. But usually we use it for Swiss.
I like round robin for quads.
Yeah, it's basically round one.
Yeah.
What else is there? Let's see. Well, I tournament direct for that one branch of people because they have low number of tournament directors. I also tournament direct Pennsylvania states. I tournament directed last year and I'm going to tournament direct this year in about 8 days. It's a 2-day process
What's up?
where
You want to say hi to the video?
no.
Okay. My roommate Yim just pulled up, but let's continue.
So yeah, it's I think we have like 12 people on staff, and we each cover parts of the tournament and we get our stuff done. My friend went to nationals last year for tournament directing. I might go to national this year for tournament directing. I've got a few other tournament stuff to direct. I think I'm going to be going to one in April as well. But yeah, that's one thing that players don't understand about tournaments.
I'm gonna get the cat real quick.
Here's a good one. As player, you aren't really entitled to anything. Basically, the tournament director's word is law in like every scenario, and almost every scenario, the reasons that we make the decisions we make are based off of logic and interpretation of the rules. There, in most scenarios that any discrepancy happens, which is always what we call a dispute, and a claim is being made, then we have to determine what the ruling is based off the claim. Which means that, let's say you're right about your claim or you're wrong about your claim. If you're right about your claim, any type of judgment that we give will always have a result that is based around the rule book for that claim. So
there's a rule book.
There is a rule book. We are required to memorize the rule book. We have a test on the rule book. If you fail the test, you have to retake the test. You can retake the test once.
How thick is this rule book? Is it like a 2-page PDF or is it like a 100-page
like
Bible?
This thick.
Is it a dense book?
Yeah.
Like size what font?
Probably like 12, 11.
Size 12 font. How big is it?
It's like about this size. So like, I guess like this tall.
So it's like a standard hardcover book.
Yeah. Well, it's
about 200 pages.
The one I have is paperback, but yeah, it's around there. Yeah.
200, 300?
210 maybe.
And I guess there's a chapter about the actual rules of chess, but there's also maybe about the judicial board or.
That's in the back of the book, and that covers like almost nothing, in terms of like there's legitimately like almost zero content in there. Most of the book is actually like rules and how we're supposed to enforce the rules and what the penalties are for the claims made.
Penalties, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not going to, for example, if a person has their phone out, right? Now this depends on the tournament you're in. And tournaments are almost given full discretion over how they want to like change up the rules, but for the most part, if you're USTF rate, we follow the same sets of rules. But the penalty for having your phone out, whether or not it is on or off, if it is visible, the penalty is 10 minutes taken off your clock or half your time, whichever is less. I'm not going to give him a forfeit unless I see him with his phone on. If his phone is visible and I have no proof of it being on, I'm never going to treat it as if his phone was on. I'm always going to treat it as if it's visible. So I'm basing my ruling solely off of what I can prove. If I cannot prove anything, all I can do is based off of the information I was given, which means in a lot of scenarios it's hard to make a ruling because there's almost zero way to obtain proof unless you were visually watching that game or have an unbiased witness.
Okay.
And the problem is, in a lot of the cases I'm given where I have to make a ruling, the witnesses are always biased because they're a teammate or someone who happened to be watching the game.
Yeah.
Which is, someone who happened to be watching the game is almost always someone who has some type of reason to be invested.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's a lot harder to make rulings that are for or against. It's a lot harder to make rulings for the person who's being faulted because that person that's being faulted needs to bring evidence that is irrefutable.
Gotcha. Cool.
Which is actually, yeah, it's happened a few times.
Okay. Next slide. So this is more of a fun question. You want to ask me this?
Yeah, I actually don't have one. Who's your favorite chess player, past or present?
My favorite chess player is me.
Okay, bro.
I'm the best. No. Actually, my favorite chess player, I think you're going to understand this, Paul Morphy.
That's pretty good. Yeah, okay, that's because of your playstyle, yeah?
Paul Morphy, the guy who invented the martial attack in the Roy Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever invented that is amazing. I don't know what his first name is, but Marshall and Paul Morphy. Paul Morphy, especially beautiful chess player. I think he's known for the Greek sacrifice.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but Paul Morphy is this very brilliant, tactical chess player who comes up with some of the craziest sacrifices. Right? He's very similar to Bobby Fischer in terms of the opening play style. Often, very open tactical games such as pawn e4, getting your knights out, bishops out into very attacking like squares, and then opening up the center with pawn d4. Paul Morphy is just amazing, in my opinion.
That's fair.
And other players, I think Steinitz.
I was gonna bring him up. He's not my favorite player, but I was gonna bring him up if he didn't say anything.
His name is Wilhelm Steinitz.
Yeah.
Wilhelm Steinitz, I think, is most widely known for positional chess, pawn structures.
He has like Queen E2, like his favorite move of all time.
Queen E2, just getting his pieces, micromanaging them, and just somehow finding that perfect opening. Bam! The board opens up. Other players, Mikhail Tal. Tal is known for. I've read this. Basically, they said Tal takes you into a dark forest through a maze, and he leaves his opponents trapped there. Right? His opening style is it's closed, but there's always some chance for things to collapse or just devolve into a different type of game. And when he gets to that level, either you're down a tactic or you're just positionally screwed over, right? So I think he's very good at micromanaging as well, similar to Steinitz. Bobby Fischer is I think he's very tactical, but he's tactical in like a long-term forward thinking sense, right?
That guy is like a savant, bro. I don't know.
Yeah, Magnus Carlsen is just good overall.
That guy's like he just knows, man. He knows, dude. I was talking with a friend like a few weeks ago about this actually. I think it was like last week. He was playing a game against this guy I knew who was like 2,500. My friend was 2,500, and Michael, what's his name again? Magnus Carlsen played the most interesting set of first moves I've ever seen. It was like H4, G3, and then like E3, and then against the 2,500 guy, he won his queen by move like 12. It was the most surreal moment of my life. It was
wow.
Yeah, that guy just knows what he's doing, man. I don't know.
Do you think there are any underrated legends in chess? People that maybe they died early or just did not live up to their full potential? Any people that you think could have been really, really good?
Me, if I didn't start playing Valorant. I don't know.
You think you could have been like an absolute legend at chess if you really tried?
I think if I'd only had a passion for chess and not done anything else and not played games or watched anime, I probably could be like 2,700 right now. But like, you could say that
is full dedication.
Yeah, like to be fair, right? Like I had full dedication to games and anime, so like it's not that hard of a stretch. It's just that like I probably would have got burned out at some point and had to take a break because I do not have the disposition of doing stuff like that. The person I am is not very good at full committing to any type of task, even if it's something I enjoy.
I think if I were to fully commit to chess back in the day, not okay. Realistically, fully commit in terms that could be like one more hour of chess a day, playing more chess runs, playing online chess all the time, playing bullet. Reasonably, I think I could get up to maybe 2,400.
You can go higher than that.
20. I'm saying realistically, as in, if I applied 20% more effort, definitely at least 2,200. I got up to 1,900, and I think only when I started playing more online chess did my pattern recognition got a lot better, just through the sheer volume of games played. Yeah. But 2020 is hindsight, whatever they're called, whatever it's called. I do enjoy my chess experience. I think I applied a lot of effort throughout my years, although I never really burnt out or went overboard with it.
Yeah, I burned out in like 8th grade.
All right, next question.
Yo, this is a fun question. Okay.
I ask you this now.
Yeah.
What is your go-to opening and why?
Okay.
As white and as black. And you have to defend your chess opening, and I'll poke holes and I'll say this my opening is better.
Okay.
We have to argue about this.
Yeah, you're gonna win this then. Okay, so first, I'm 21. I turned 21 like a week ago. I've been playing this opening since I was 9. It's called the Scotch. The Scotch game, not the Scotch Gambit, not any of that special stuff. Just default Scotch. E4, E5, Knight, Knight C6, D4. And I've played it against masters, I've played it against normal people, and it's legitimately the only opening I've ever played in my life outside of the 4 Knights and the Vienna.
You never played Italian that much?
No, I've never played the Italian in my life. Yeah, I play the Scotch for white, and I play the Scandinavian for black if I'm playing against E4, and I play the Grunfeld for black when I'm playing against D4.
What is Grunfeld again?
You see D4, Knight F6, C4, G6, Knight C3, G5.
Okay. So basically a dragon, almost, for black.
Yeah.
A dragon against the queen C4.
Think about that like a lot more offensive. It's
C4,
like
D4, yeah.
it's kind of like the Alekhine, but like
What was the Alekhine again?
E4, Knight F6. Just think the Alekhine, but just more fundamentally sound.
Okay, I sort of see that comparison. Not really, but okay.
Because like a lot of things get ended up trading off, and like everything kind of explodes in the middle.
Is Scotch your go-to opening because out of habit, or because you legitimately think it's the best opening to play as white?
A combination of both. Not only is it like the only opening I've like, ever really studied, like known really well, but it's also really, really good in the sense of there's like what I hate most about playing chess is forced draws. And the most common type of forced draw comes from playing openings that don't really like get anything to happen. And the Scotch will almost always make something happen. Like
I think Scotch Gambit makes things more happen.
Well, the Scotch will like there is no way where I am unable to make a break. There's always an area where I'm going to be able to break open a structure somewhere. I might have to sacrifice like my king's safety to do it, but I will make something happen no matter what. The worst scenario.
Scotch game, and you sacrifice your king's pawn, your king pawns.
My king's safety. I never said my king pawns. I'll castle queenside and push up. I'll castle kingside.
Oh, you castle queenside in Scotch game.
You can do either one, depending on the scenario. It's just yeah, like the opening I hate playing.
That's
the
actually
most,
a good way of putting it. Yeah.
The opening I hate playing the most is the French, because the French, like, 33% of the time leads to a draw. Like
As white.
Period. Like dealing with the French, like it's.
I feel like French for me is more divisive.
It's actually just so bad. Because the thing is, everything just gets traded off.
What do you play against? What do you play against French? E4, E6, then what?
D4, D5, Knight D2, and I stopped playing it because.
Yeah, so I also play Knight D2.
Yeah,
I
it
think
leads to a draw like
the
30% of the time. 33%.
I disagree, because the Tarrasch, like that opening leads to unless if it's not exchanged at all, I think the pawn structure allows there to be some type of divisiveness.
There's 0 pawn structure change between the same structure. It's like
okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, because you have the pawns D4, D5 later
actually,
now.
It's actually so bad.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But yeah, I think the reason why I said you would probably win an argument versus like your opening better than my opening is because the Scandinavian is like the worst opening on the planet. Like there's no debate about that.
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite openings are I'm pretty versatile now.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up playing E4, and now I play a lot of D4 and E4 online. I think with E4, I like to play Italian. I want to play the Roy Lopez more. I just always end up defaulting to the Italian. I think I should learn the Roy Lopez as white though.
Yeah.
Black, I play E5 against E4. Sometimes I play French, Sicilian. I don't really play Scandinavian.
It's fundamentally it's not good.
I think it would be so cool to force yourself to play different openings while playing chess. Like,
Yeah, I used to play Sicilian Ship Engine, but I kind of just didn't like playing the Sicilian, so I stopped.
yeah. Also, I like playing semi-Slav, Slav as black against D4.
You can't do that. It's too defensive.
I really like it because you get C5 in later down the line.
You do the same thing in the Grunfeld. It's
In the Moran,
I do the same thing in the Grunfeld, but
yeah, but it's like 10 moves earlier.
Yeah, but it's like kind of worse.
Yeah. I like playing Queen's Gambit. I don't really play London system. I think playing against the London system as black gets annoying.
I'm pretty sure every single person in the world hates the London. Like anyone,
It's so solid.
Everybody hates London players, bro.
It's so solid.
I swear there was a meme on like Reddit, I think it was Reddit, where like 2100 years down the line, when people like fully solved chess, and the first perfect 7 moves were the moves to the London, and everyone's
Literally.
like, this shit is so ass.
Literally. I think the London system is basically that opening where as black, you're struggling, but as white, if you know that black plays semi-decent moves, it always ends up being a draw.
Yeah. Same thing with the French.
Yeah.
That's why I hate the French, bro. I mean, the opening of people.
I also think that as you age, people's opening repertoires go from tactical to positional.
Partially. That's why I did worse when I came back, because I didn't play the same. Like, I play more positional now than I did when I was a kid, but I didn't lose my tactics. So I got into this scenario where I would question my moves a lot more, because, like, I would know that if I were to make this move, I would give up all my positional advantage, but it would potentially open up some tactics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as a kid, like, I would have just done it because that's all I did.
Because it's fun.
Yeah, and it's like, but now I have to think about, like, logically, they just wouldn't be as like, every move you make in chess has a good side and a bad side to it. Like, every time you make a move, you're moving your piece to either defend one square or attack one square, but in the process, it's always removing its defense from a different square. So everything you do will have some type of repercussion. Question is that repercussion worth it? And as a kid, I just didn't think about that and just played it. But now I like second guess myself every time I make a move, because I can see I can actually see what positional loss I'm losing from making said move before I just ran it. Because like my mind just like wasn't.
You're more cognizant of a long-term pawn structure.
Yes.
You know,
it's low-key detrimental.
I think that relates a lot to like brain development for people, because when you're young, let's say around 15 to 19, your brain is very much going for risk. You have much greater risk appetite, and as you get older, you start factoring in more risk. You become more risk averse.
Yeah.
You go for more safer, let's say like careers or people they want to hang out with, places to live at, stuff like that. And I think that occurs a lot with chess maybe as well, because when you first start, you're like, I want to go for the martial attack. I want to go for this gambit because it looks so fun and I can open up the position and you can try so many different things. But as you get older, you realize, hey, sometimes it's just good to take that plus 0.2 edge and just turn that into a plus 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, and eventually you're going to win because you're up a pawn in the endgame.
Well, like, it's kind of different, because, like, the reason why I did it when I was a kid was because I didn't care if I won or lost. But now that I'm old, like, tournaments cost money, so you can't be losing and not getting the gain out of it, right? Like, because you go into a tournament, maybe when I'm, like, 50 and I have, like, retirement money saved up or something, I'll go into a tournament just for the fun of it. But, like, if I enter a tournament nowadays, I low-key need winnings.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't just make stupid or uninformed moves because I think it's fun as a child. Like I have to go in entirely intent on winning, and being risk averse just is low key the most optimal way. It's not as fun.
It's not exciting.
It's the way that hopefully look at me that win.
Yeah.
Which is kind of why
I think that's how people approach life as well. I want to go for that stable job because I don't need to think about anything else. I need to go for that stable path in life. That could be going to college. That could be going to trade school. That could be going to the army.
You sacrifice your passion, which is like, bruh.
Not gonna lie, I think right now the discussion is very much an analogy to life. Like,
that's what chess is.
Once you start playing more risk averse chess, then you lose that passion for tactics, for ambiguous chess opening strategies, for weird sacrifices.
That's why I tell my
kids to not be afraid to lose, because eventually they have to be afraid to lose.
Then I think that means what at least what I'm taking away from this position, from this analogy, is that oftentimes you just have to make those gambits in life.
Well, yeah, if you want to go for the big stuff, it's all about chances.
You gotta go for the gambits.
Well, consistency always works, it's just not as fun.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Man, I'm thinking about like the chess clock as in the time that we have left in our lives. Like when that chess clock gets to like 5 seconds left and you have 5-second delay, you play moves so fast. You're trying to maximize the best out of your remaining time and just winning. While at the start, you could dilly-dally, go to the bathroom, chill out. You don't need to focus as much. Maybe that's how we approach life. When we first start in life, we just dilly-dally, play video games, or go to the beach. Not saying that those things are bad. It's just, we just dilly-dally. And then maybe when we're 70 years old, or maybe when we're 50 years old, we reach that midlife crisis. And that could be the time where we're like, shit, we have 10 minutes left on our clock.
Gotta lock in.
We gotta...
Yo, imagine you had increment.
We gotta take our piss. We gotta, zip up our whatever and just lock in at the chess game and go for that little continuation, right?
Yeah.
I didn't expect the chess conversation to go into a life, but I think that's very applicable, actually.
Well, yeah.
People make a lot of analogies in that scenario.
Yeah. I think maybe this is the one last analogy. Let's say the middle game is like your 30 to 50-year-old lifestyle.
And you're trying to switch up what you're doing midway through, and you're like, wait a minute, this plan is not going how I expected.
That's when you're like, oh, should I just trade off all the pieces and go into this safe end game where it can go into a draw, let's say 80% of the time, and maybe I get some edge? Or do I want to keep the pieces and keep everything on the board? And I say the pieces represent your responsibilities. You keep all the pieces on the board, and you're like, okay, I'm going to just let this sit out, and we'll see what happens. But by that time, you can become really tired, and your opponent recognizes that you made a blunder, and you screw up. Right? That's when you have all these responsibilities, and now you just lose the game.
Yeah.
Or you can hold on to that and just like, be super calculated and just drop the most epic 7-move sequence in the middle game. Trap the queen, kill off the king, something like that.
Right.
I like that. Alright, next slide.
Oh. Do you prefer online or over the board chess?
Online because it's cheaper. I can play it anywhere. It's way more standardized. I don't have to go to a actual board and play with a person and figure all that out and sit on the rug or sacrifice my back. I could just play chess wherever I want to. So I play chess like while in class all the time. I think definitely like when you play online a lot and you go to over the board, you don't recognize the pieces over the board sometimes because it's a different viewing angle. And for me, like, the pieces don't register in my head that much.
Dude, it's actually like the opposite for me. When I play online, I just can't think the same way I play as over the board.
Do you think better or worse?
I think better on over the board than online.
Why is that?
I don't really know. Like, just visualization comes easier when it's 3D, I guess. I'm not really sure.
Huh.
Online is like a lot worse for me. But that could be because like I only play speed online. Like I don't play anything that's shorter than like an hour in person. And I don't play anything faster. I don't play anything longer than like 3-minute online. So it could be just that like the scenario that I'm putting myself in doesn't give me a good chance to like cultivate online skill, which like it is what it is, I guess. But I just do not feel like my brain power is fully functioning when I'm online. And that also is because like I don't put myself in the best setting when I play online. Like when I'm playing online chess, I'm usually playing it because I'm in the bathroom or like I was just randomly bored with my phone in my bed. And like my brain is not functioning when I'm in the bathroom or when I'm like in my bed when I go to sleep. So like that could be it, but I also just like looking at the board itself just feels so much more natural.
Yeah, I think the setting of being in a tournament hall and seeing everyone else locked in at chess is like way more conducive to like, hey, I gotta lock it. It's like when you're taking the SAT and you pull up to the M hall and you're like,
Yo, I got
shit.
finished already. Wait a minute.
you're like, shit, like I should not have goofed around when I was doing that Khan Academy SAT prep and like been eating Doritos on the side or like watching a YouTube video on the side or listening to like Spotify music while you're doing your little SAT exam questions.
Bro, when that one kid finishes in 20 minutes, you're like, wait a minute, what the fuck?
You're like, oh no, I'm cooked. Yeah, I think that was a good answer. And then I guess now we'll go into at least my favorite section, chess in the mind. How has chess impacted the way you think? Do you think it has impacted the way you approach life? If not, why not? If so, how so? And do you think this has like a good benefit? Like what are the good and bad about this?
I've told like a bunch of people about this before, but the most important thing to establish in your life, like based off your lifestyle, I think, but as a whole, is routine. Routine is like the most important thing you can do. When you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, mouthwash, whatever. Make sure you're hygienically ready. Make sure you're mentally ready. Make sure you have all your stuff in your pocket. Make sure you have all your stuff on you. Walk out the house, get to where you need to go, do all your things. As long as you have that routine, any surprise you have, any impact that isn't normal, anything that isn't part of that routine becomes a lot easier to deal with than if you did not have that routine, right? So for example, when I play chess, I make sure that I'm checking for everything, making sure all my defenses are safe, making sure all my pieces are safe, making sure that I'm not losing on space, time, anything like that. And as long as I keep those, as long as I make a mental checklist to make sure all of those things are covered every time I make a move, whenever I think about making a move, all those things. Whenever my opponent makes a move, there's a less likely chance that the move they're making is going to put me in a scenario that's really bad. Because if I was making sure to check my steps along the way, then there would be no way where they could make something happen so quickly that I wouldn't be prepared for. Mm-hmm. So if you do that the same thing with the way you live, then for the most part, any scenario that comes out of left field, you're for the most part prepared for. Because you should be keeping yourself in a relatively stable scenario.
So I guess chess, just like the inherent structure to how you prepare a chess game and like the routine of
your life generally,
chess has given you some structure in how you
like make sure I get a good sleep schedule, right? Make sure I do my homework, make sure I have everything set. That way when I get a project thrown at me, the free time that I normally would do for games, I can then use that instead for said project. Or the free time where I do something else, I can use for that project. Whenever something comes out of left field that I'm not prepared for, maybe I put my savings in my jar, and then my car breaks down when I have money to fix my car. Mm-hmm. As long as you make preparations for things and make sure that you're following that same set of preparations, whenever something comes out, you'll be at least semi-prepared for it.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'll add on to that. I think for me, chess, especially playing bullet chess over and over and over again, taught me that losses don't matter.
Generally.
As in, if you have that 52% win rate, you could lose 8 times in a row. You know that
it's going to like 51.9. Like, it doesn't even matter that much.
You know that you'll just continually get better bit by bit by bit. And even if you have a bad day, you can always get back to it the next day or the next week. And I think that really, reinforced my tolerance for losses. I think with a lot of people that I like, I guess, observed, whenever I introduce them to chess and I say, okay, let's play a few rated games, they get so scared of losing 50 rating points, 20 rating points. And you see their 1500 starting elo go to 1100 and they're kind of panicking. They're saying, oh, I think I should study more chess. And then I'll start playing more chess games, this and that. And I think a lot of people apply that to their lives. It's like, oh, I don't think I can work out yet. Maybe I should do cardio first. Or I think I can't skateboard right now. I need to, I don't know, do roller skating first. Or
that's interesting.
Something like that. And I think like kinesthetic learning. I think you mentioned that. Sometimes the best way to improve at things or to go about things is to just do it. Fail initially, fail a lot, but because it's like bullet chess, it's a 1 minute game. It's a 2 minute game. It doesn't matter that much. Just keep on trying over and over and over again, and that is how I apply it to a lot of things in my life, like with leak code, with solving problems, with homework, with school, with working out, with skateboarding, even with this YouTube channel where I'm making these podcast videos, and obviously the quality is not good. The video quality is not good. I stumble a lot. I have a lot of mistakes. The views aren't the best, and I know like people don't watch these videos because like the subject may not pertain to them. But I think as long as I'm getting better 1% each time, or I'm finding some fulfillment because I get to bring a friend over, I get to catch up with a friend, I get to talk about something interesting, I get to learn about something interesting. I don't really care about the views at this point. And I think by just doing this over and over again, I think by the time I get to my 500th episode, certainly it's a lot better. A lot, not a lot better as in like just the standard of the setup and the outline, the structure is a lot better. But the quality I think will be the same because like this is a very high quality conversation that I'm having with you, Harry. Yeah, so I think chess has just made me realize that with a lot of like great things take time and it takes a lot of failure and it takes a lot of iterations.
Yep.
Yeah. And I would say that this is another thing. You know the Myers-Briggs test, personality test? Basically, it's half bullshit, but it's also...
Is that the INTP thing?
Yeah. I got INTJ.
I think I also got INTJ.
Which makes sense. And when you read the description online, it says, oh, this is how INTJs approach life. They approach life as if it's a big chess game. Okay. I remember reading that, I said, come on. It's like, oh, you're always calculating the next 5 steps, and you're always weighing the pros and cons and doing a whatever analysis in your head, making those split decision moments, and you're very divisive and you're very cold calculating and cunning sometimes, right? And I would say that for the most part, that is how I do approach life. What is interesting is that many INTJs in the world are like entrepreneurs. People argue that Mr. Beast is one, Elon Musk is one.
Yeah.
Just like the NTJ stack, ENTJ, INTJ stack, whatever, those guys are freaking killers in terms of like how focused they can be, right? So we'll see how that applies to me in this YouTube channel. How does that come out? We'll see. Okay, next slide. We're almost done.
Yes, sir. Oh, no.
What do you think about AI in chess? It could be like AlphaZero, it could be ChatGPT, okay. Or it could be DeepMind, anything related to technology in chess. Any thoughts?
I think AI ruined chess.
What type of AI first?
So,
like Stockfish?
Cool. I mean, so there's been multiple chess engines. There was Deep Blue back in like 1998.
Deep Blue, yeah.
We have Fritz, we have Komodo, we have Stockfish, we have Leela.
Houdini.
We have Houdini, we have AlphaZero. So, I think it got really, really bad when Stockfish got serious. I think we're on Stockfish 12 or Stockfish 11 now.
Stockfish 8 was good.
Stockfish 12 is the one that actually had an AI in its system. And Komodo was also said to have AI in its system. And those were taken partially off of AlphaZero, which learned from its mistakes and got better over the course of many games to be virtually unbeatable by any person. Stockfish 12 is better than AlphaZero and beats AlphaZero. Leela Zero is thought to be the best chess engine in the world.
Yeah.
The problem is...
Leela's cracked. Leela cracked AlphaZero. I saw those chess games by Chess Network. Leela is just beautiful.
The problem is, right, anybody on the planet can access it.
Isn't that good?
No, because it basically means that you could just memorize random book theory from a computer.
Yeah.
And the game might not be solved, but it becomes a lot harder when you're basically either forced to play some offshoot line in order to get someone off of rote memorization theory.
Yeah.
Which is almost always bad for you because an offshoot is an offshoot because it's worse.
Yeah. It's like a gamble, and it's like literally a bad gamble.
Or you're forced into playing someone who potentially just memorized more lines of code than you.
Yeah, you're forced into a negative EV situation.
There is no scenario where you come out having fun in that because either you're playing a worse version of the game or you're playing a version of the game where the person just better at you because they memorize a series of words.
Yeah.
And like that's not what chess is. That's not what I think chess should be about.
So you think chess is more of an art and should not be like a problem that's been solved?
Yeah, like sure, memorization is fine, but when we get to the point where memorization pretty much determines whether or not you win or lose because of how far deep you've gone with it, it kind of ruins the purpose of the game.
I agree.
And that got really, really bad when they came out with Alpha Zero, Leela Zero, Stockfish 12. Those all should. I really don't think they should have made. I think we should have stopped with like Stockfish 9 because everything after that is like
they just solved it. I agree with
it's
you.
It's why I don't play tournaments much anymore because there's so many people who just memorize like Stockfish code on Wii Chess and it's not fun.
What are your thoughts on ChatGPT and education then? Because like I think you would probably have the similar views then.
Well, the difference is that like in education, first off, ChatGPT isn't always right.
It's pretty good though.
It's pretty good, but
it's probably like 90% right.
Yeah, I think the problem comes when people overuse it. Like, I don't have a problem with using ChatGPT if you actually learn from using ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT should be designed to be creating prompts to help you come up with essays or giving you inspiration. But when you use ChatGPT to give you questions, what you don't learn from those questions, it doesn't develop your intellect any further. So eventually when you get a job or you pass your class and someone asks you to use said information in an essay or some type of research or something like that, there's a higher chance of you coming up short because you have no idea what you're doing because you just ChatGPT'd everything.
Yeah.
So I really think the problem comes when the AI takes away from the person's ability to learn. I think ChatGPT can be used as a stepping stone tool for helping you learn, but it should never take away from you learning something.
Yeah. I think I've fallen into the. I think I've fallen victim. Not victim, but I have abused ChatGPT to the point where I don't learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
I just use it to complete a task, and I just do it just to submit something in, and I don't really have any good takeaways from it.
Sure, like maybe you ran out of time one day and like you were busy and you couldn't have enough time to fit in all your homework. So like you quick gave out a response. Oh, hey ChatGPT, what's X plus Z? And Chat does your math problem for you. Like that's one thing, right? Like you didn't do that on purpose because you wanted to just get it done with quickly so you didn't have to deal with it. Because if you went back and checked, make sure you knew the information, it's all fine. But when you just get by without actually learning anything, it's like you're going to reach a point where I don't want it to bite you, but it would be karmic retribution if it did.
Yeah, that's true. I think for me, I was very impressed when Alpha Zero came out. I thought
I thought it was done. I didn't know they were going to do something better than that.
I didn't know what deep learning was, or like oh, how did this chess engine became it the way it was? Oh, it just played against itself.
Yeah,
There was no like, here's a chess opening book, memorize these openings. There was no like memorize all these games. It just came up with all the moves itself.
Yeah, eventually, like the thing is, right? I'm not even surprised that happened. I'm surprised it happened so fast. Because I'm pretty sure it happened.
And now we have ChatGPT that probably runs off of something similar. Or I don't know anything about the tech behind it, but I would say.
But what ChatGPT does is it just takes information from the internet.
Yeah. But there's like a whole model, whole make things efficient, know how to parse things. Mm-hmm. I think that's the same thing with like the self-reinforcement learning. I think that's really cool. When Leela came out and it killed Alpha Zero,
yo, bro,
I was like, what? It could improve. It can improve even better. Like this is like titans of chess computers playing against each other, right? I do agree that technology has made chess super dull.
Yeah, it's like I don't think that most people are doing that, but you could theoretically, you could get some homie with a photographic memory to just figure out every single line of like the Sicilian, and if you played them, you just auto lose.
It's like how in Asia there's all those entrance exams to get into a good college, and what ends up happening is you have everyone cramming and just studying, and it becomes less of a test. It's like more of a test of
can you game the system?
Are you? I don't know. I think it's just.
That's what SATs are. There's plenty of people who just study for the SAT. they get it like what, a 1550, but they have no idea like anything else.
They have no they have no other like extracurriculars or like other skills to justify their 4 years of high school.
Because studying specifically for one test means you're only good at the things on that test, and there's
I
plenty
agree.
of things outside of that test to learn.
There's a lot more to life than just memorizing or getting really good at one particular.
It's called learning
like-
for comprehension.
Yeah, rather than learning for
A grade.
a grade or to pass a certain thing. I agree with that. Cool. Final thoughts in lightning round. E4 or D4?
E4, no question. Scotch for the for the end game, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
E4 70%, D4 30%.
I never played D4 in my life.
Bullet or classical?
Bullet, no question.
Bullet, no question. Bobby Fischer or Magnus Carlsen or anyone else? Bobby Fischer.
Magnus Carlsen, Loki. That guy is too good. That guy's played poker too, bro. Have you seen his poker games?
And he plays tennis.
Yeah, I don't care about the tennis, bro. The poker is insane.
Yeah. Most annoying opening to face.
French followed by the Catalan.
What's the Catalan again?
Knight F3, and then
That's the first move.
like D4, Knight F3, and then it's like Fianchettoed Bishop, and they just play to own like E4 and D5, and it's like so fucking. It's actually the most like annoying thing I've ever dealt with, like ever.
For me, it's London.
Don't
London.
play in the
London. Queen's Gambit accepted.
Yeah.
French accepted. Carol Khan accepted. I hate the Carol Khan accepted. That stuff is the most annoying shit of all time. Wait, I play the Carol Khan accepted. Never mind.
You're a fool, bro.
It was just the Carol Khan then.
Yeah, Carol Khan is kind of annoying.
Yeah. Any final thoughts before we end this and I upload it to YouTube right away?
Hey, yo. I don't know. Yo, revive the Philly chess scene. Like, it's high-key dead right now. Like, all the high schools are kind of bad. The middle schools are okay, I guess, but we're working on it. It's a work in progress. We need more older people, though. Like, we're running out of older people. Please.
What do you mean we're running out of older people? As in...
They're all quitting. Or, like, they aren't as good anymore. Like, I low-key quit. Like,
older people as in, like, your age or older people as in, like, 50, 60? What do you mean?
As in my age. Like, I think Temple Chess Club is, like, low-key struggling. Drexel Chess Club, I've never even heard about them before. We have, like, we legitimately have a collegiate chess organization we created, like, last year. And it's, like, not even doing that bad. But we could always use more people. You should try it. The game is fun. There's plenty of ways to get into it.
If you were a rich billionaire, how would you, I guess, approach the Philly chess scene? How would you revitalize it if you had an unlimited budget?
Okay, so this is the thing, right? It isn't this is actually a diss on Philadelphia, not like chess as a whole.
Let's hear it.
But because of how this city functions and how poor everyone is and how like this city works, right? The problem doesn't come from the lack of money. Well, it comes from lack of money in the people who live here, right? Parents can't get their kids to come to chess. Parents can't get their kids interested in chess. Parents can't do any of that because their kids are either not seeing their parents due to it being Philadelphia and their parents being busy doing work or being in or just only having one parent, right? Or the kid has lived on their own for so long, done their own things for so long that something like chess would never, like they would never be introduced to chess, right? The problem doesn't come from the fact that no one's interested. It comes from the fact that no one can get interested because no one is in a position to be interested, right? Like people can't get introduced to a game if their lifestyle would never allow them to get introduced to said game.
Can you give a more specific example? I'm not sure if I'm following.
I have a cousin. Let's say my cousin is 20. She has to take care of her child. That child will eventually not become neglected, but partially neglected because his dad is out of the picture. Because his dad is out of the picture, she won't be able to put as much time into him because she'll be busy working. Because she's busy working, she won't be able to look at, or he won't be able to look at, because kids don't do this on their own, clubs. Kids don't go to clubs without their parents asking them to go to clubs when they're children. They have no interest in anything their parents don't try and get them into. Because of that stuff, children don't really develop any interest for things like chess because a lot of the time, children have to get introduced to their hobbies.
Yeah. I think as a parent, you're there to sort of encourage and help cultivate at least that initial spark for something. And like, The little small fire that comes afterwards.
Yeah, and like continuing to get them. That's not the problem. My kids don't study. My kids don't study because my parents don't make them study, and I can't tell the parents to make them study because the parents will blow me off. So there is zero way for me to do anything more than what I'm doing in the current scenario. Now, that's not a problem with adults. With adults, they can put as much time as they can into what they want to do. The problem to solving the interest in chess in Philadelphia is to get, well, first to advertise chess. Second, for those people who get chess advertised, to have their interest cultivated. Because half the people who have their interest cultivated are either too old to get into anything seriously past what they've already gone, or do not have the community to push that interest further. Like, before I went to Masterman, every kid I knew that played chess was at least 600 points below my rating. So I had no competition, and I had no one to study with to get better with.
Yeah, you need circles of people to push you even further.
There is no circle in these communities because if you're a kid, I'll take here's an example right now. I have an 8th grader who's 1800. Every other kid in the grade is 1200 or below. She has no reason to come to club because I can't focus on teaching her because she's one person and I have a bunch of other kids that are way lower than her. So it's functionally useless for me to do anything because it would be a slight to everyone else.
Mm.
And there's a lot of scenarios where there are some people who are good, some people who are worse, and you can't single them out because then you lose everyone else. But at the same time, everyone else also aren't getting any better because they aren't putting any effort into it because their parents won't make them. So you kind of get into this perpetual motion machine where you continually have the same problems, but there's no way to fix it without multiple people getting in on the problem, which never happens.
Gotcha.
Also, all the programs that try and get things to happen don't really go anywhere past the bare minimum. I'll get called in for a training session, and then I'll never go back to that school ever again. And the people who I teach at that training session won't get any formal instruction past that, and then they'll just play random games against people their same skill level, and they won't grow anymore.
That's how you lose that spark.
If you want to cultivate chess, you need to have... This is actually the other problem. You need to have a good coach. You need to come in twice a week at minimum, 3 times a week.
4 times a week, man.
We did 3 or 4 times a week.
We did 4 times a week and 2 tournaments a month.
Exactly, right? Yeah. You need consistency, and there is no such thing as consistency anymore.
Yeah.
So I guess if I was rich, I'd ask for a coach, I'd fund that coach, and I'd help the parents not be lazy bums, or at least give them money so they can help their children. Because
I agree.
It's
yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah. This is to me in 20 years when I become a billionaire. Kai, in 20 years, you need to fund the Philadelphia chess scene and you need to make it great.
Make it great again.
Make it great again. All right, with that, we're going to end the video. Okay, we're done. Cool. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was a bit of a long video.
A bit? Bro, we've been here for 2 hours.
We've been here for 2 hours. I don't care if this gets 0 views, 0 likes, whatever. This is my best friend, Harry.
Yo.
I've known him since 7th grade. I'm currently 22 years old right now. This is my best boy. And yeah, I don't care if this doesn't do well on YouTube. This is my best friend, and I'm making this video
My goats.
to memorialize our chess obsession and passion. Cool. Any last words?
No, happy to be here, bro.
All right, I'm gonna end the thing. Cool.